Hey, this is Solidarity News Brief, bringing you news highlighting the dignity of human life from conception to natural death. I'm Dominick Carlo, and today we're grateful to have Randall Terry, who is the presidential nominee for the Constitution Party. Mr. Terry's been involved in the pro-life cause, including with Operation Rescue. He's been a candidate for Congress and a candidate in presidential primaries in the past. Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Terry.
Dominick, it's my pleasure, sir. God bless you.
God bless you on this fine evening.
Yeah.
You're the Constitution Party's candidate for president of the United States. What's the Constitution Party? What are its principles?
The Constitution Party was founded in 1993 by Howard Phillips. I was there at the beginning helping Howard, and others were as well. It is a distinctly self-conscious Christian party. We are a theocentric party. We believe that the Constitution is actually our governing document. It is not a doormat. It is not a reference. It is not wallpaper. It's something that matters. And we're unashamed to take a stand for the Bill of Rights, for the right to life of every human being from conception until birth. That's where the firing squad is right now. We, without flinching, say that marriage is between a man and a woman, and that the Obergefell decision must be overturned, that it is treachery against God and the family. We believe in the Second Amendment. It's not just for duck hunting. It's for personal defense and, if necessary, defense from a tyrannical government. So we're basically constitutionalists. I mean, that's literally what we are. We believe in real money, not fiat money. Um, and interestingly, a lot of the stuff we believe in, one of the phrases I heard years ago, and I loved it, I've tried to make it my own, is that the right and the left meet in the woods. We're both running from big government. We're both running from the government spying on us. So we're that's who we are as a party. And you can look online for the Constitution Party. It's got a great platform, just tremendous platform.
Wonderful. So you've been involved in various political races and things in the past. Why this election? Why running for president now? How did this happen? How did it come together at this moment in time?
My bad. I apologize. I decided that I was going to run again this time because I could see the freight train coming, that the lives of unborn babies were going to be swept aside in this election. And unfortunately, it's even worse than I thought it would be. My campaign, the Terry Broden ticket, um, our mission is to defend children, defeat Kamala, destroy the Democrat Party. Now, that seems like a lofty goal, and it is, but the concept of our campaign is that the number one issue facing us as Americans is the shedding of innocent blood, murder, a Holocaust. There is a God in heaven who hears the cry of blood, and that blood is crying for justice, crying for vengeance. So, our duty as Christians is to defend the innocent. That's what it means to love your neighbor as yourself. You get in the ditch and you save your neighbor's life. Love worketh no ill towards its neighbor. If you see your neighbor have need of worldly goods and you don't give them to him, how does the love of God dwell in you? If you say you love God who you haven't seen, how are you going to love him if you don't love your fellow man who you have seen? So we're taking the Christian admonitions to love our neighbor seriously, and we're trying to defend children from the hands of the Democrats, because the Democrat Party as an institution is at war with children. They have a murderous platform, a murderous agenda, a pedophile agenda, a grooming agenda, a kidnapping agenda, mutilation of genitals agenda. I mean, they're on the record with these things. It's so glaring, it's putrefying, it's disgusting, it's demonic. So what we're doing is we created a bunch of television ads that are now starting to run. They're running right now in Florida, and soon we're going to start running them around the country, depending on whether or not some of your viewers help us. We're running ads that say, if you vote for Kamala, you have blood on your hands. So our ads are targeting Roman Catholics, African Americans, and evangelicals who, for whatever reason, still vote Democrat. They're
Right.
culturally Democrat. Their
Right.
families were Democrat. They have this echo of the Democrat Party being the party of the little guy. So we are calling to them, the ones that are between 50 and 80 years old, who still have a conscience and who know in their heart that the Democrat Party is at war with God, at war with families, at war with children. And we're saying to them, hey, you have an ethical duty with your vote to not vote for a party that is at war with your family and your faith. So if we can cause 3 or 4% of the Roman Catholics and 3 or 4% of the African Americans to not vote Democrat, not only will Kamala lose the election, but the Democrat Party could have a hole blown in the side of it. That's how tight the margins are. And by the way, Dominic, for the sake of your listeners, I know this was a long answer. Pop quiz. What is the largest voting bloc inside of the Democrat Party?
Inside the party, African Americans.
That's number 2. Good guess, though. Number 1 is Roman Catholic. So that's the dirty secret of the Roman Catholic community, that these people who claim to love Christ and who say they are following the teachings of the church vote for candidates that are in total defiance of Jesus Christ and the church and the church's teachings and the teachings of sacred scripture. So we're saying to them, you're sinning against innocent blood. We've got an ad done by a Catholic priest who says if you vote for a Democrat, it's like voting for someone who would kill Jesus in the womb. Because Jesus said, what you do to the least of my brothers, you do to me. I want to invite your viewers, go to terry2024.com and watch the ads. Just watch them. Terry 2024, terry2024.com. And those ads are running because the TV stations are required by law to run them. They have no choice because I'm a federal candidate, because I'm a presidential candidate. That's why
So
I'm
is that
running.
part of the reason that you got into the race was to air those ads? Then is that part of the idea behind your campaign, or
It
is
is
it
the
just a,
primary reason.
okay?
It is,
Great.
yeah, the ability for a federal candidate to run ads. This is literally the last forum of true free speech.
Hmm.
It is the last place in America where you can run an ad showing an aborted baby and say this is murder. And if you vote for this, you're supporting murder. It is the last place that you can say those words and show those images and not be shut down. No television, I'm sorry. Every television station by law is required to run those ads of a federal candidate. Newspapers, no. Billboards, no. TikTok, no. YouTube, no. Instagram, no. Facebook, no. We get shut down on all these platforms. But federal law requires a federally licensed television station, and all TV stations are licensed by the FCC. Federal law requires that they run the ads. And so we're recruiting people right now for 2 years from now. You want to be a voice for babies? 2 years from now, we'll get you on the ballot. So that's why I'm running it. It's to run the ads.
No, that's great. And you've been involved. Obviously, your most well-known work is, if I should say so, from my experience, at least where I know of you from, is from Operation Rescue and your wonderful work with that organization. What's obviously there's the connection, the pro-life connection. But have you had any experiences or lessons that have particularly influenced your campaign, your pro-life perspective?
Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I can think of 2 things. One, in the fall of 1983, 41 years ago, I had a vision in a church prayer meeting, and we were praying about abortion and asking God to, bring it to an end. And I always had a sick feeling in my stomach when I thought about abortion, but I was called to preach the gospel. I wasn't called to social issues. And I had a vision of a scroll coming down in front of me with words on it, with very distinct um, instructions that I was to fight abortion. I was to get people by the thousands in front of abortion clinics. I was to re-educate the American public to the value of human life from a Bible-based perspective. And I saw myself on the Phil Donahue show, which I was on 8 years
Yeah.
later, 1991. Yep.
Wow.
I mean, I literally saw all of this, and uh, I didn't know what to do. I was 24 years old or something. I was shocked. I didn't, this wasn't normal. So I didn't say anything to anyone. I didn't do anything. I just started praying and reading my Bible, and I found this concept in the scriptures of innocent blood. And once I latched onto that, and I went from Genesis to Revelation, looking at every single verse in the Bible that talked about shedding innocent blood, then I realized, okay, I'm onto something here. This is God. This is the Holy Spirit showing me what to do. And so I obeyed the Lord, and God went before me and did things that only God could do. We had the largest peaceful civil disobedience movement in American history. Most people don't know that the Operation Rescue movement was 10 times the size of the civil rights movement. We had over 75,000 arrests in a 7-year window from 1987 to 1994. And we had, or the civil rights movement by comparison, had from 1958 to 1968 had about 7,000 arrests. So 10 times the size. That's what Operation Rescue was. But winners write history. And because we have not yet won, most young people have no idea the magnitude of that movement. But ultimately, it led to the overturn of Roe versus Wade, because a civil disobedience movement of that magnitude created enormous political power. And ultimately, it made child killing a litmus test inside of the Republican Party. It was a part of that, helping make it that. So that was one experience. The other experience I had, which was I didn't understand it at the time, and I'm still sort of grasping the significance of it. And that is that when I was a little boy, I was 8 years old, and there were 3 girls in Rochester, New York, who were abducted one at a time, abducted, brutally raped, and murdered, and their bodies were left. They never found the killer. And as you can imagine, the city was panic ridden. And they made a little film to show little kids in school. Now I'm in second grade, and I remember them taking all the kindergartners out and the first graders out. I was either in second or third grade, and then we watched these images of these dead girls in where they found their bodies, and it was to scare the hell out of us so that we
Yeah.
wouldn't get in the car with strangers. But the thing that stuck with me was that one of the girls escaped from a car, and it was on Route 104, if my memory is correct, in Rochester, New York. Somehow she got out of the car, and she's running naked against traffic. She's running down the side of the road, and over 100 cars passed her. And the assailant chasing her, grabbed her, dragged her back into the car. Over 100 cars passed, and no one stopped. And I remember as a boy feeling rage, unthinkable I never felt that kind of rage. And to this day, I feel the rage, the contempt for those people who went by, who drove by. And so we're in a time right now where the priests and the Levites, if I could use the story of the Good Samaritan, the priests and the Levites are driving by the little girl being butchered, raped. The priests and the Levites are walking by the babies dying in the ditch. And I'm begging pro-life groups for help. I'm begging churches for help with this campaign. And they are literally walking by. I can't, people who know who I am. I mean, I'm one of the most famous pro-life leaders in the Western Hemisphere. I have people who won't even return my call as a courtesy because they know I'm asking them, help me run these ads. That's all I'm asking you to do. Help me run these ads. Priests and Levites walking by on the other side of the road. Cornerstone Chapel in Virginia asking me to apologize because our people were in their parking lot trying to get signatures for ballot access. And our people got thrown off, asking me to apologize. So we're begging churches for help, and they won't even let us collect signatures in their parking lots.
Yeah.
So those are the two experiences. Having a vision at age 24 and hearing the story of a little girl running down the road and adults in their cars driving by and doing nothing.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for. I'm glad there are good folks who are stopping, who are trying to stop what's going on. Um, at least there are some, right? Uh,
There are
what?
some, there are a handful, but most of the pro-life establishment today is they're actually collaborators. If I could point something out to you, I'm 65. You look like you're 45 or 50. How old are you?
I'm 33, but yes, thank
33.
you.
Oh, I'm the bad focus here. My bad. With that beard and everything, you look all right. So I've been at this longer than you've been alive, brother. And when you were born, in the year that you were born, there were people saying that you were born in what? 90,
90.
90,
Yeah.
90. Okay. So there were people saying in 1990, we're winning. We are winning. We're getting America back. And I was saying, we are not winning. We are losing. Stop lying. We have been losing since I was a boy. We have been getting our asses beat. We have been getting our asses kicked in every single arena. While the fundraising machine of the religious right and the conservative right have been lying to people saying, just send us your money and we'll do the job and we'll get it done. It's a scam. And so now here we go again. Now our backs really are up against the wall. Now people are starting to realize, oh, wow, religious freedom is on the line. Oh, maybe you forgot that judgment begins at the house of God. America is in the process of being judged, and we're going to have a lot of judgment in the Christian community for our failure. So we've been getting our butts whipped because people won't fight. People won't get dirty. They won't go into the ditch. They won't get into the conflicts. I tell people, I'll tell you this. A man is known by his enemies and his scars. That's how you know a man. What enemies does he have? What scars does he carry from battles? If he doesn't have scars, if he doesn't have enemies, do not trust him as a warrior. He's not a warrior.
Yeah. If I could get your thoughts on this, as the nominee for the Constitution Party, it seems to some of us, especially here, that at least on the national level, some of that issue with collaboration and kind of getting the religious right to pull in the right direction has to do with how our two-party system works and just the nature of the beast, so to speak. that there might be a fundamental problem there, a fundamental failing. Do you have any thoughts on that, or how the system works on a political level? Or
Well, you're asking me in part if let me read to you an ad. Let's see. This is an ad that we wrote that was going to air, and this sort of answers your question. Only it answers it from a little bit different, way than maybe you were thinking. Let's see. Where are you? There we go. So I wrote this ad, and it's going to air in South Florida. Yes, President Trump, God spared your life twice, but not so you could abandon babies. Unborn babies are not pawns for your politics, they're God's children. The Bible is not just a great book, the Bible is God's holy word, and it says, whatever you did not do for the least of my brothers, you didn't do for me. Abortion is murder. And I go on to say, if you want to make America great again, obey your maker. Give justice to the weak and fatherless. Rescue them from the hand of killers. I pray you come to your senses, that we defeat Kamala, and that you show your thanks to God for saving your life by saving the life of his children. I'm Randall Terry, and I approve this message. So the way to do it is to say, look, Kamala is the devil. We do not want Kamala as our president. The Democrat Party is a fortress of evil, and it must be destroyed. But President Trump, you don't get a pass on this. It's like Nathan rebuking King David. It's like the prophet coming out to rebuke Jehoshaphat. Like Isaiah speaking to Hezekiah. You can have the truth, and you can still be king. David committed horrible crimes, and yet he was still king, and he had to repent. So that's what we're saying to President Trump. That is what can be said and what should be said. Instead, the religious right is scraping and bowing and pretending that it's okay to throw babies under the bus. It's not okay. Let's put principle first. But principle would mean that Kamala must be defeated. But we also have to protect godly principles, the laws of God inside of the Republican Party. And if it can't be, then let it be sunk as well. That's why the Constitution Party is so critical. We mean what we say.
right, an example of the principles that we want to espouse in the public sphere, without compromise.
Yeah, and you can do it. Compromise is the wrong word. Laws against drunk driving. All right, there was a day in America where you could drive down the road with your fifth of whiskey and driving your Model T, and you're drunk as a skunk and you're drinking and driving. No crime, nothing. And then they started to think, you know what, that's probably not a good idea. And so they began to incrementally change the law so that now you can spend the rest of your life in prison if the circumstances are right with vehicular homicide. So we can say we want to make child killing illegal in all 9 months from conception forward. That's our mission. In the meantime, I'll take what I can get, and I'm coming back for more. That's the way you say it. So that's how it works in a system like ours. I'm not saying that we have to have all or nothing. Either abortion is murder and you got to face a murder charge. Listen, in a perfect world, that's how it would be. It's not a perfect world. So
Another question for you. Another criticism that pro-lifers sometimes get, and this is another one of those areas where there's a little bit of disagreement, I feel, amongst people of good faith who are maybe, like you say, unhappy with the stance that former President Trump has taken and the Republican Party has taken recently. What's your thoughts, and what's the thoughts of the Constitution Party on the sorts of support that could be provided for pregnant women and pregnant mothers and families before and after birth. And like, does the government have a role in that, or what's your view on that?
My view and the party's view are not necessarily the same, and there are people inside of the party that is a true debate. So, Jesus said, I was hungry, you fed me. I was naked, you clothed me. I was in prison, I was sick, and you visited me. All right, who's he talking to there? Individuals, the church, governments? So many of us hold that it is not the right of the government to put a gun to our head and force us to pay for their favorite charity. America is a socialist country. Let's just stop pretending. Socialism is communism on the half shell. We are a socialist country. We have the redistribution of wealth, period. So having to, accepting that as it is there a deal that can be made where we say, okay, let me just say in really crass terms what you're saying. We'll make abortion illegal in all 9 months, but you have to make sure that there's a financial safety net for every single woman who gets pregnant and wants to keep her child. That's what you're ultimately saying. So the ethics of that are debatable. We know that this is a criminal act to kill a human. Is this an ethical option to save that human? And I think that it's a valid debate. I would take the debate. I would take the deal. Now, what I don't believe, here's the issue. I'm a mendicant. I beg. A mendicant is an old Catholic word for Franciscan monks are mendicants. They have to beg for their food. I'm a mendicant. I beg for help for this campaign. I've got to have money to run these ads. I'm begging you, help me. So I get it. The issue is going to a church and saying, help us. Going to a doctor, dentist, and say, would you help us, please? Versus going to the government and then the government forcefully taking people's work, their finances, their land, if it's a land tax. And that's where the debate ultimately is. What authority does the government have to forcefully take assets from one group of people to give them to another?
And what would you say? Another thing you hear a lot in the political sphere is, well, why are you running this campaign? Isn't voting for you, that's going to be a wasted vote, or it's going to, take votes away from someone who should be winning? What do you say to those people, or in that
Well,
situation?
did you watch the ads?
I watched some of the ones on the infomercial, the 30-minute one you did, I think. Yeah.
All right. So my answer is, if you haven't seen the ads, don't even ask me the question. Because the ads tell the story. The ads say if you vote for Kamala, you have blood on your hands. If you vote for Kamala, you're voting for someone committing black genocide. If you vote for Kamala, you're voting for someone doing the work of the Ku Klux Klan, lynching black babies in the womb. No thinking person could say that our TV ads are going to hurt Trump.
Sure.
I mean, that's
Right.
it.
And yeah. Okay. Fair
And
enough. I
if
mean,
someone asked me who you want to be president, I say, look, obviously I'm a presidential candidate, and obviously this is the face of a man who will not live in the White House. So
come on. You can.
I'm not going to be the next president. Not going to happen. No illusions here. Therefore, I want Kamala to lose. Therefore, by definition, it means I want Trump to win, and I want him repenting all the way up those steps when he takes the oath of office and saying, I will use the authority God has given me to protect babies' lives from murderers. There you go.
Well, thank you so much. I want to just make sure people know where to look for you. So, could you give us the name of the website one more time, or I'm sure we can put it up on the link too. But
Terry2024.com. Go and watch the ads and then make a contribution, people, please. If you don't help us, if you believe that abortion is murder and that babies' lives need to be protected, and you don't help us, then I say you're like the priest and the Levite. You just walk them by on the other side. Oh, what a shame. Yeah, that guy. Oh, I'll say a prayer for you. I'll say a prayer for you, buddy. Hope you make it out of the ditch. Be warmed and be filled.
Well, we will be sure to do that. Thank you so much, Mr. Terry, for your time. Thank you for your efforts. Thank you for helping the man in the ditch. And good night to our audience. Good night for now. And remember, all human life has dignity from conception to natural death. God
Thank you,
bless.
Dominick. Privileged to be with you, sir.